Have no idea, other than Facebook said I offended them some copyright issue, which is pretty funny. So sorry, I'm back. If you were listening a few minutes ago, and you can hear a voice now, this is the new cast. So pop up. No way for me to post. So if somebody wants to post and say, "Hey, refresh your page," I can't do that from here. I'm not on your regular page. It was Facebook said I offended them by playing. They didn't say I offended them, but I actually some piece of music that I played. Once again, this changes. You got to realize that when I buy this music, it's legit for me to play, and then sometimes the artist sells it to other organizations, and it all gets picked up and labeled in different ways. So it happens from time to time. Look, I've been in the video production business for years, and so I know what it's like when somebody goes, "Oh, you're using our song," and I go, "No, here's the licensing." So I apologize to you. I was telling you a story, but it went away. Kim Stokes, welcome to the show. Some of you are popping back in. I was telling you a story about bees. I don't know how far I got in that story. So somebody tell me, hi, Terry Tardy, welcome. Somebody tell me if you heard the bee story or not. Did you hear the story about the little honeybee and what number I'm on? If you didn't, I'll tell it real quickly one more time, because I looked up and I realized that I was talking to myself, which was much like my first radio show that I ever had out of Asheville, North Carolina. You know, they always say, imagine that you're just talking to one person when you're on radio. You know, you're looking at the microphone there and you go, "And top of the morning to you, and good morning." And just imagine that you're talking to just one person. Sometimes I was, and it was me. It was my reflection in the camera lens or the mirror or the window next door. So I heard the bee story, June Jones says. So some of you heard the bee story. Perfect. It just died right after that. Again, tell it again, Grandpa. All right, perfect. Deborah Lynn Tauber, thanks for being back. Those of you who just got in, I'm up to 222, and that's the bee story. I found this little honeybee. He's truncated a little bit. Part of his the stinger's gone. He got hung into the raspberries. He came home in a sweet by. So there's my last painting. No, that's my next to last. 222. Hey, let's paint something, and then I'm going to share a couple. I told you I was on the. I don't want to say I was in prison, but I was on the prison visit and wound up just meeting with those folks and shooting some video and rolling around to help them tell their story in the middle of a lot of video work going on. So what I wanted to do was I didn't get to paint my Saturday Big Roo, so I thought I'd just pop on a piece of music and grab some liquid watercolors, which are here. I'll get these to wake up just a little bit while I'm working on that. I'll just grab a little spray bottle here, a little mister, and yell, "Wake up," and give them a little dash here. And that'll get those awake. But I'm going to use some liquid watercolor. But I think what I want to do this morning is paint this Roo going in this direction. And there's his... there's what we're looking for right there. I'm going to come down here. Come down with this leg way back here, this back leg coming down like this. And maybe this front leg is just going to be cut in right here. Like so. So we see the ground he's standing on. There it is right there. Just do some hash marks across here like this. Hatch they are. Come in. Hash. Okay. And come in this way. Come in with a little eyeball. And then... don't even worry about what's up here. Just let that go. Can you see that? I think you can kind of focus on that clear enough. Maybe it needs a little bit of adjusting. If it does, I'll focus on this pencil right here. Just give me a second. See if we can get that cleaned up just a little bit. Kaboop, kaboop, since my camera went out. Okay, so there we go. A little new focus on that tiny camera up there that sees all. And I'm just going to grab some of this, and I've got to put in a little music and see if I can do that before the cotton picking company says, "Hey, you don't own that." Does it have a name yet? Where the children live? It's called 5 and 2 Trade School. You need to paint a Roo behind bars, Renee. That's funny. Yeah, breaking free. Okay, so here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the way I do this in watercolor. The reason watercolor scares people sometimes is because they think they can't control it. So here's how I affected that in my own life. And those of you who Patreon and do the classes with me, you know this is true to the max. When we go deep into a class, you know, look, do not be afraid of watercolor. It's just a little water, it's just a little color, and it's just paper. Throw it away if you don't like it and start fresh. In fact, please, when you go buy a pad of paper that you know you're going to paint with and you know you're going to give paintings away or you're going to sell paintings, buy 2 of them. You go like, well, that's expensive. Yes, it is. Maybe if you sell one painting for $25, you've covered the whole pad. If you sell 2, you've covered 2 pads. One of those pads is just a throwaway pad, and you may not throw hardly any of it away, but you may say, I want to use my paint, my color, my design on paper that I'm going to be working with most of the time. Some of you know that a few weeks ago I picked up some Hobby Lobby paper. They sent me some actually that I really have liked to cut up in little pieces and put into my travel journal every day. And it keeps me, it's way less expensive than cutting up this paper, and it paints similar. It's not paper that I've sell on yet, but who knows? But I've really made a commitment this year to paint on the paper that I started on and I love on. So I'll be painting on more Kilimanjaro than anything, just because I know how it responds to water. I know how the 140 pound, this is cold press works. I may do a couple hot press paintings later on this summer. But this is kind of what I'm painting on now. And so buy 2 pads of paper. If you have to destroy one in learning, then is that not worth a $25 lesson? Come on, or 27 or 28, whatever that's cost now. My point is, if you're going to learn, learn. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to take some red here, and there's something about this red and these droppers that doesn't work worth a flop. Yeah, somebody call it the hatch marks. You got that right? All right, so there's a little red right there. That one works. Here's a little blue. I love this. Watch this. I'm just going to do this in 2 different ways. I'm just going to drop a little blue right here. Boom, boom. But then I'm also going to go, that music's a little loud. It's loud to me. I'm going to go get a, let's go up here on the wall and bring these down. There they are right there, bringing them in. Let's get a number, it's just a number 3. Oh, yes, there's a number 3 bamboo brush, and I want to get a smaller one too, so I'm going to put this one back on. I'm going to get a 3 and a 1, which is the 2 brushes that I gave away a lot of. Thank you, Yasutoma. So now I'm just going to go in here and throw some water around like this, and then just put some of that water in here on this piece of paper and just let it splatter around. Number 3s is like, all you need to make this a mop is a miniature bucket, and that would do it. That's kind of how that works. So I'm just going to drop some of this in like so and bring it around a little bit here, a little here. I don't think you can see that glaze on it, but you'll see it in a second, because watch, I'm getting ready to run this paint into that water. Here it goes right here. Now I'm just going to take this and bring it over here and just splatter it like this, and then just tip it up and let it run a little bit into those water. Look, it's running right where I put the water. Can you see that? And then I'm going to tip it back over here and bring it down. Now I'm just going to go in and tie in this red with it right here, because I want some cool looking purple right in here. Okay. Love that. I love I want a little bit of green back here in these tail feathers. So I'm just going to drop a little bit of yellow right in there like that. That'll create some orange. Create a little yellow here on the beak, and a little yellow coming down the neck right there. Maybe one more spot of yellow right there. You see how I don't worry where it goes. I'm not trying to be like measure everything off and get it to go in exactly the right place. But look what happens when I grab that yellow and that green in there and make this beautiful color. That's a lot of paint too, by the way. Merciful Georgia. I'm going to get a smaller brush. I'm going to go in here like this. Let's see. If you hear me sloshing around over here, that's where I'm just rinsing out my brushes. A little wet brush. I'm going to grab it right here. I like to paint to moving music or classical music. It helps me think about directing the orchestra with my brush. I've got some napkins and paper towels close by. You generally need a lot more paper towels when you're doing, put a little green right there. I just wanted a little bit of green. I want some red to come in here and make some orange on top of that, just to give his breast colored, kind of like a bluebird color right there. Maybe a touch of blue right in here, like so. I love doing these roosters like this. And look, what's happening right now is you see the splatters going out there. I kind of like those. Those are just kind of fun. It creates these great fight the temptation and the urge to go back in and color everything in, all these little spots that you see coming in here. Don't do it. Just leave them as holidays. They are so important to the life and the art and the light of your work. All right, so now I'm going to go in and get my palette. I'm going to go right here. There's a little bit of cross between this color. This would make a good leg color right here. A little bit of brown coming in from that blue inside that red, and that yellow come in right here. Look at that. That's going to make a perfect leg color. There's some more of it right there. So once again, don't forget, when you have enough pigment on the page, you use that as your palette. Not one time have I reached into here. The only reason I'll reach into here to a minute is because I know that Terry Tardy is on the show, and so we got to give her a little splash. My friend from out in Coos Bay, there it is right there, Terry. There's your little tap of Terry Tardy turquoise going in. I think it really, in Cheap Joe's world, is called Andrews turquoise. Don Andrews is a really wonderful painter. If you haven't seen him paint online, you could probably do that. He's a good friend of Joe Miller's, and he's just an amazing good artist. I love seeing people that are great artists, and I'll tell you, some of you on this show, you're just terrific. And I see that I see Cindy's teaching some classes. Some of you are doing, you're doing pop-up shops. You're doing things that I hope that you're doing things that you never even thought about doing 2 years ago with art, and it's making your community come alive. That's what I really hope. Have I had too much coffee this morning? No, I haven't had any. I'm having tea, but boy, is it caffeinated. But honestly, it doesn't bother me even when it is caffeinated. So voila. All right. I need to paint behind. I read that, Michelle, when I first read that, I read that differently. You need to paint behind bars. I'm thinking, okay, Michelle. Kim Sheets, welcome to the show. Melanie Phillips, Jacqueline Browse. Thank you all for jumping on. Hey, Phil's Artworks. You got it, Phil. Phil is doing Phil's Artworks. Don't you love that? That's very creative. Kathy Moore, my internet just cut me off. So there, how's that? So glad you're on. Mickey Perkins, thanks for being here. Deborah Spangler, Dorothy Beasley, Jean Anthalzer. Great Scott, folks. Thanks for piling in. Here's Teresa Marie Clegg Salvecchio. Logging in from Stage 2 Drought in Katy, Texas. Man, Katy can be a dried up riverbed. I'm getting to know my watercolor painting cards. Wow, that's fantastic. Yep, you got to know that. You got to work with it long enough that you get a feel for it. Just sold a background for a wedding invitation. Love it, love it, love it. Fern Skelly, Sammy Osler, thanks for being on the show. You have new next to your name. Nah, you're not new. You're just here. And we're glad to have you. Okay, so what did I do right there? I felt like this was just too dark and too much of a contrast near this. Had two things competing. And so I took some of that out, and I took it out with what we call the watercolor eraser, better known as a paper towel. But this one, I've got to move over here to my trash can. So sorry. I moved my trash can. I actually moved it over there because it's full. I was going to take it out. So there you go. I'm gonna go in here and just grab this brush. I'm just going to use water here a little bit. This is just water. And by the way, no pigment down here. Take a note. I'm just using water where I did those hatching. When you paint roosters and you do hatching, somebody caught that earlier this morning. I'm going to grab a little of this green right here See that? I'm just grabbing it off there, and I'm going to go in here and just do a little bit of green right in here like this. A little more green right there. Some great spring green, burned summer green grass. Watch this. So I'm going to go get a little purple right here and just do a little shadow with the purple. See, the great thing about painting, using your painting as a palette, is that all these colors that you'll be using, you're not introducing. The only color that I reintroduced was the Terry Tardy turquoise, and I did that just on purpose to say hello to my friend out there in Coos Bay. She and her husband have been a part of Young Life for a long time, and I'm still doing some stuff. As a matter of fact, I'm probably spending the next 14 hours in the next 2 days editing right here at my desk for a project that has to be finished that goes to one of the properties for some development stuff in before Wednesday morning. So I've got a long day ahead. All right, so there's my painting. Ruth, glad you're here from the sunny green fields of Ireland. And Ruth, there it is right there. There's the way your fields always look. That's a little peat green. Actually, I could put a little bit of this peat right here and just get a little bit of a peat in there for you. There we go. A little, it's so green there. Someday I want to come over there and sketch in your world. I think that would just be so much fun. I'm going to grab a Pentel 07. Oh, goodness, Intergel needle tip. I still get people who say, you know, those pens don't do what you say they do. And I'll say, take a look at it. Does it have the word needle tip on it? And they go, it says rollerball. Roller derby would be it'd be easier to paint with the people going around in circles. Rollerball, no. Needle tip is the one that bleeds and you can use to just go over your ink like this. Look what it's doing. Look, I'm able to put those lines in there. Can you see them? Sure you can. You can see those coming in. I come in here, put some eyelashes in here, put some detail in here. I can even close my pen down and use the end of it for a paintbrush. Look. Use what you have, people. You know, I love the fact that you don't need a $90 brush to paint a fun piece of watercolor. This rooster rocks. I mean, come on. I like him. I should paint one of these every day. Wait, I do. Okay, today is July 11th. Is that right? Is it the 11th today? It is. Okay, man. Yeah, I got to hurry. Okay, there we go. There's a little bit of blue in the sky. There's enough blue in the sky to make cat britches. That's what my brother always said. And I'm just going to tap some of this in here. Just some splatters around. I think I need, just for fun, I need some yellow splatters. I need a few yellow splatters right there. Just like that. It really messes this place up some. There we go. I like that rooster. All right. Okay. Jackie Wallace says, I love that one. Jackie, you know what? I do too. I kind of like it. Linda says, love green. It's her favorite color. Ash, did Ash just pop up on the show and I miss him? Michael Ashburn, good morning, brother. Keep brushing, sloshing, using a lot of paint. Don't be afraid to leave empty spaces. You ain't a preacher, but you think like one. Ash and I are going to be doing a camp in September for David's Table. How fun is that going to be? I'm going to get to hang out with my dear friend who is just royally nuts. And I mean that in the best compliment you can give a friend and brother. I held this up the other day. This came from Chris. I'm going to have Chris sign it at the camp. It's my flower arrangement painted by Chris from his wheelchair. And his motor skills are not the greatest in the world, but his heart works. And he loves people. And they sent this to me. They sent some of these out with a pack of seeds. You got to love that. How many of you did that project this year? And so I've asked them to paint me a dozen of these from the people in David's Table that Ash is going there to speak, and I'm going there to do some art and goof off with my brother and make people smile, to tell some stories along with him. And we'll be doing some art, and I'm going to, before that, probably the third week of August, and I've got to call and get the date squared away today. So I'll be putting those out on the page. We're going to have an auction. We're going to try and we're going to sell some of these cool paintings, and it's going to say Camp David on it. And it's going to have the signature of the artist who painted it. So if some of you are interested, we're going to do that. There'll be a letter about Camp David, about the camp coming with it. So we're going to do another auction for Camp David. I'm going to throw in some honeybees and maybe a couple roosters, and we're going to make an hour auction out of it, and we're going to call as many people and spread the word as much as we can. And the goal is, if you want to come and have fun, yes. If you want to come and give some serious money, yes, to send some kids who have severe disabilities. And by the way, these aren't just kids. These are people who, in some cases, have placed out of what we call care or ministry care. Like in the foster home system, you're great in the foster system. I shouldn't say great, because we have my son and his daughter-in-law have been foster parents 23 times, and now they've adopted a child, but they still had foster children come in. And so they have that heart. But when a child reaches 18, he places out of the state's foster system. And where does he go if he doesn't have a family? He goes to the streets. In some ministries that handle disability folks, your programs are catered to below college. So when you get into the college age, where do you go? And so David's table says you can't place out just because of your disabilities and age. And so we're working with folks that have been dealing with their disability for 30, 35 years, and they can still go to camp, and they can still laugh, and they can still smile, and they can still hear the stories of truth. So that's kind of what this is going to be for. So Skeeter, we go back 52 years easy. He was my work crew boss at a camp, and he's still involved. And one of these days, he's going to finally Skeeter. His name is Robert Powell, but Skeeter Powell, he's eventually going to paint a Skeeter that I could probably sell on the auction, maybe. We shall see. Okay, so that's what that's there about. So Ash, glad you're on the show today. Hey, here's the Roo. I'm going to drop this on the table. Let's see. Chris, yes, we're going to come up with a better plan. I'm always coming up with a plan, but this is what my world's like. It turns on a dime. And so, yes, some of you can toss in something if you want to help. Maybe I'm probably only going to take maybe 4 or 5 little paintings to put out there. But I'm going to lay this on the floor and let it dry. I got to show you something I've been working on. You know that I paint on top of an old 150-year-old pub table, barley twist pub table. And you know I'm so into pints. You know, I'm a teetotaler. But it's fun. But this piece of paper that I keep here is just a pad. It's 18 by 24. So that's really my painting space. So if you're worried about, wish I could do art, but I don't have a studio, come on. Just mess up a corner somewhere and be creative. Think like an artist. I keep this page on here for, several days, but by the time the next painting class rolls around, I've doodled on it, written notes on it, drawn on it, sketched on it. I started one about 2 weeks ago. During the 4th of July. Well, yeah, it's been 8 or 10 days ago now. About during the 4th of July, before that painting deal, I was just doodling on it, and I was showing somebody a demonstration where I said, look, if you just take a piece of color, orange or any color, with a little water, and you just make a little splurge like that right there, just something just as simple as that right there. Can you see that? And maybe do it in another color. Just maybe do it like this. And maybe splatter here, and then just go like this for a second. And don't worry about what you did. Just let it dry. Then come back and look at it in your style and think, hey, I bet I could turn that into something. Now, for me, I turn those into roosters and chickens. Let me show you what I did. I realized I had like 5 or 6 of them there, and then it went to 10, then it went to 12, and then it went to 30, then it went to 40. Here's my piece of paper that I've been on the phone. There's some notes on this piece of paper. I just ripped it off this morning, so here it is. I'm holding it ready, and it's rolling in. It's a piece of 100-pound desk paper, not newsprint. It's thicker than newsprint. It's sketching paper. Here it comes right here. Take a look. You gotta love it, right? Here's all my phone notes. I have to look and see if are there any phone numbers here that you guys don't need. Here's where Skeeter and I had a conversation about camp. I said, I will call Skeeter. We'll do this the third week of August. I'll set a date. I'll call you these days and let you know when it needs to be. So that's today. I'll call Skeeter and say, here's the date that I think we can do the auction. I haven't gotten that far on this day yet. There's a Rudbeckia, I call them Rudbeckias, but you know what they are, black-eyed Susans. But hey, Rue paints it. It's a rue flower. And there's a crow. This one turned into a crow. This one, I don't know if he's salvageable or not, but these little blocks that I just do while I'm sitting here with a paintbrush and I'm talking on the phone, sure, okay, I can do that. I go back when I'm processing and thinking, and also when I'm editing video. So see, I have a fast brain. And so while video is importing or exporting, I'll just take my little pen and I'll just turn them into little roosters. So there's the piece. Here's what it looks like. Let me pull out just a little bit so you can see the whole piece. There it is right there. There, that's the whole piece of paper. I think there's probably 50 or so roosters. I think there are 50 or so roosters on there. So it just makes me laugh when I look at that and think, you know, you're not right with yourself. Did you hear that comment? You're not right with yourself? And I'm thinking, what artists should be, for heaven's sakes? Okay. All right. So what I do then is I just come in here and I draw a little, this is this, put some tail feathers here, and I go in here and I draw this. Look at this one right here. This one's perfect. Oh my gosh, look at that. See, I just see them. There they are. Look at that one. This one here could be a hint. Oh no, this one here is down here picking up some bugs. So scratching out there, standing on this back leg here. And this one is just a little hen. And she's wearing a striped suit. It's bee day. All right, so there you go. So there's how those little things happen just from little drops, okay? I see flowers. If you see flowers, that's fantastic. If you see flowers and flowered leaves, if you see dogs, if you see landscapes, that's pushing your pareidolia. If you see faces, that's your vision pareidolia. That's where you start seeing things in things. I look and I go, when I walk the street, people say, oh, I see a nose. I go, I see a rooster, okay? Because I have that into my eyes connect with that now. Okay, I'm driving a little GMC mini SUV. I love it. My truck finally gave up after 247,111 miles, and I never saw a GMC on the road. Now I just catch them all. GMC. I see them all over the place. I'm like, man, this company's doing pretty good. It's pretty exciting. I'm in the know here. It's pretty fun to see, but that's what happens when our brain starts firing like that. Okay. All right. Greetings from New Jersey. Left the hospital for a routine procedure. Brain's a bit foggy. Hey, man, blessings. Glad you're on the show. Hey, let's see. I don't know if there's any questions out here or not. I'm going to fire that in. None. Okay, so good. Don't have any questions. Y'all just have comments. This is the talkingest crew I've ever been a part of. Love it very much. Sammy Osler is from Michigan. Sammy, thanks for being on the show. Michigan. I've actually been up in there's a little town called Paw Paw, and but you could see through the sign, and so I was driving through late, and there was a skylight. But this is a true story. See how you connect. I was going there to speak to this thing way up on Lake Michigan somewhere, and there's this, they told me I was going to see a town called Paw Paw, I think, P-A-W, but when I went through there, I had gotten turned around and I was coming through the other way, and the sign, the light off of this street light was pushing through this thin sign that was like for some event, and it was backwards to me, and I thought it said wop wop. And I just said, oh, if you read this town backwards. Paw Paw, my dad. All right, so here we go. I want to share a story with you real quickly, and then I'm going to go back and paint one more thing. These are the books, Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle. There it is right there. This one I can't sell because I had 5 come in a long time ago as just proof books, and I've changed a few words here and there. Now the new ones are out. I have some ordered. If you want this book, the best way to get it, if you want it, is you can get it from me on my website. If it's showing some, I don't think it is right now. I hope it's showing sold out because I am, but I'll be getting a couple dozen in here. You can get it on Amazon, and they can print one and ship it quicker than they can get me my 2 dozen. Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle. It's really just about a 30-something stories. There's Pat Brooks. I did not draw that of Pat. She drew it of herself, and she actually drew the one of me too. If I had rules, but this is my process in art. Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle. There's stories on one page, and then there's Pat's art on the other page, and Pat just represented these the way that she wanted to. I said, keep it simple, keep it clean, keep it pure, and she did it better than I could ever imagine, just with all her tools. And you want to know what the tools she used? We even talked about having a page in the back. Mine are pretty decrepit, and I only use like 5 or 6. Here's some of the things that she uses. It's just fantastic. I would like to say that I did her drawing and she did mine, but that's not the case. Okay, so, but I wanted to share a story with you this morning, and here it is right here. It's the one that I get a lot of questions about. Look, some of these are just plain and simple. Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not break. And get behind the mule. You know what that means, right? There's the story that tells you where that saying came from. Most of these were real stories in my life when I started saying these over 2 years ago on this painting show. And then a few years back, I started saying, I want to be consistently inconsistent and inconsistently consistent. And so the young people that I was teaching storytelling to said, what the heck are you talking about? And so sometimes when people see this, they go, consistently inconsistent and inconsistently consistent. Is that not a oxymoron? Is that odd and I'm saying, did you just call me? And they laugh and they say, we don't know what you call me. I said, just call me. I'll usually answer. But I want you to hear the story from me. So this is one book. This is a book called Hey Roo, What's a Wheelbarrow? It's my first children's book, and right now my only one. I have 2 written, but I don't have the artwork done. There'll be 2 more other than this one. One of them I just can't wait to do. It's called The Night the Chicken Stole the Show, and it's about a barn dance that happens, or does it happen? And the farmer gets awakened. It's called Hey Roo, What's a Wheelbarrow? And my grandkids call me Roo, and it literally was named after an old green wheelbarrow that my friend Gabe gave to me. That's still in my backyard. Then my coloring book is called Robots. That's when you cross, and this one, of course, says not for resale. This is a sample too, because I'm out of these also. And one day I actually started coloring, and I got to show you why I did that. Look, you're gonna love this. This is the people. In fact, there's a connection in the story that I'm getting ready to share you. One of the young ladies who was in this storytelling class for Consistently Inconsistent, and I was sort of leading at the time, is now on staff at a local church. And she's pretty brilliant in her organization. She was also probably the smartest 18-year-old I'd ever hired, and she finished college at 18 and was looking for a place to work. And I've still never met anyone who has command of the language, vocabulary that she has. And so she would write a lot of things and edit a lot of things, and we would talk about it. And so she wanted to learn how to be a storyteller, and so we threw her into the deep end of the pool and said, here's how you do it. So part of what I'm saying is that she has a couple of children now, okay? So this is many years ago. And her kids love art. And so what she did was she gave me, she sent me these just the other day. Look, she handed them to me as I saw her. And she said, look, I bought these for my kids, and I thought of you and the way you used to draw these little cards all the time with your tiny little Altoid box of paints and your little brush. So she brought me these little watercolor pencils, or these little pencils. Look at the size of this pencil. Look at the size of this. I'm going like, are you kidding me? And so I'm keeping it in there. So I did a little drawing with them and sent it to her to give to her kids and said, okay, what are you doing with your pencils? Because I made something with mine. So I wanted to show you that. But that's the coloring book. That's the kids' book. And here's a story I want to share you this morning just in the final minutes and do another quick little painting for you. I want to tell you this about style today. Those of you who are struggling with your paint and you're thinking, gosh, I've been doing this for a while. I don't know really what I should paint. I'm still painting everything. I've been asking you to focus. I've been asking the folks on the Patreon classes to focus this summer. Sketch, carry a journal, journal everything. What do you love to draw? The thing about making a bold comment that you'll paint 2,000 honeybees simply means this: I've got to get better at them. If I'm still painting them as bad when I get to 1,000 as I was when I started, well, then I'm doing something wrong. I'm not paying attention. And so sometimes if you're looking at things like this and you see roosters, go with them. If you see dogs, go with them. If you see flowers, go with them. What is it you really love to paint? What is it you would really like to get better at painting? Then just focus on that for a little bit. I've focused on 5 or 6 things. You know, people say, hey, could you paint my dog? No. Call Denise. Could you paint a likeness of my grandchild? No. Call Cindy. Could you do a calligraphy paint? No. Call Pat. That's not what I do. My job is to push the pendulum and get people to think like an artist outside the box and go, what if I just did this? That's why I'll say, if I can't even draw a stick figure, and you say, good, nobody should draw stick figures. You should draw people who look like they're clothed or like draw the human body. But don't draw stick figures and say, well, I'm not a very good artist. It's because you don't really want to be an artist. Remember, I told you that I've never played the piano at Carnegie Hall. And I know it's a safe bet that I never will because I don't play piano. So even if I started learning now and did 10 years of intensive study, that ship has sailed for me. But it hasn't sailed for me in art. And that's what I try to get through in the Patreon class. Don't give up. Okay? Well, you say, well, don't give up on the piano. No, I've got a banjo to play. I got a guitar. I got songs to write. I got videos to edit. I have so many things that I love. I have that anvil. It's calling my name. Hit me with a hammer and hot iron. I want to make something. I started saying this several years ago, and some of you have read this story, but if you don't have this book, here's the story for you today. I started saying this several years ago when I was teaching a team to create a children's ministry. Kids and parents came into this theater, and they needed to know much about us. They want to know why they should trust their children with us. And they couldn't just trust their children with us. We said, if you're going to come into our theater, parents, this is not a drop and go shop place. You come in and sit down with them. And they said, well, we don't have that kind of time. And I said, then you shouldn't have children. And they go, well, you're rude. And I go, nope, just honest. I said, do you have 37 minutes and 37 seconds? Look it up. It's on the mailbox. And they said, 37. I said, look it up. That wasn't our address, but I wish it was. 37. I'm 8707. They said, well, I have 37 minutes. I said, great. Then bring your kids into the theater and sit with them because you need to hear what we're doing and you need to see what we're doing and you need to realize that we're being consistently inconsistent and we're being inconsistently consistent. And they go, I don't even know what you just said. And I said, hang on for a second. So we called them into the theater, but we wanted them to know what we were doing and to get a feel for the process and how we were going to be a part. And we wanted them to understand it. But we knew to get them to do that, they were going to need to be surprised and excited and challenged and called to action so that they would keep coming back with their families. So we had to know our style. We needed to know what we were going to be doing, but we also were upholding our goals with storytelling, and we had to be consistent in that. At the same time, we had to be inconsistent in how we delivered the story. You see, this is inconsistent, consistent painting. I threw this here in an inconsistent way, but a consistent way. You know that I'll just do this. And then you know that in a minute, I'll see that as a bull's head or a rooster or the top of a flower, and I'll go back and I'll doodle on it. So I'm consistent in reconnecting it to tell a story. So that's where this was going. It's all about my style. Other organizations would hear what we were doing, and this really happened in real life. Other organizations, other churches, other schools, private schools, they would hear what we were doing, and they would make an appointment and say, could we come and see what you all are doing in your theater? Could we see what kind of skills you're offering, what kind of tools you use? And they would look around and they'd say, we don't understand how this works. You're storytellers and you're artists and you're musicians and welders and builders and actors and singers and tech and video people. This looks like to us, no offense, but this looks so chaotic. It's just all over the place. And you know what we would say? Thank you. Thank you. You're helping us know we're on target. Our goals are clear. In fact, they're very written down. In fact, there's a philosophy of who we are and what we stand behind and stand for. And we know that backwards and forwards. Anytime you question one of our storytelling staff, they'll be able to tell you the elevator speech. They'll be able to say, here's our moonshot. This is what we do. Every idea, every script, every prop, every piece of written material or art passes through this filter. This is so consistent, yet how we deliver these pieces, whether it's in written form or opera or Rube Goldberg contraption or simple theater or even a stump to stand on an apple box to tell a story or with a paintbrush, that's an inconsistent element of surprise. We want our audience to sit up and say to themselves, oh no, they did not just do that. One time I had a young lady who was telling the story of Noah and the ark, and we had brought in some giant timbers, huge timbers, and there was an axe standing in one, and there was big mallets and spikes standing around, and she's telling this story, and she said, Noah had never seen rain. He's not like you who've been able to play in the rain, and he's trying to understand, what is this? And she reaches up and pulls this ring down from the ceiling. And the same time she does with her other hand, she lifts up this umbrella because the rain starts to fall inside the theater on the stage. And kids are getting splattered and they're backing up and they're going like, oh my gosh, it's raining inside. Inconsistently consistent to tell that story. It blows their mind. Art should blow our minds sometimes. This is what I push to Patreon all the time. We want our audiences to set up. We wanted parents to set up and say, what? You did not just do that. Who's going to clean up this mess? We say, you, if you want to help, but you don't have to. Where did that come from? I never thought of that. Sometimes when I write a caption on one of my whimsical paintings, I want people to know it's about my style. Sometimes I'm consistent in painting roosters or poets or troubadours or storytellers or even on my honeybees. Inconsistently consistent keeps me out of the rut. When I was writing this story, a person on the show, Annette, said to me from Bird Island, she sent me a note and said, you just brought on a little bit of Roodoodles. And I've kept that word. And I've used it and I said, it's going to be a mixture of loose art and a blessed life. I'm keeping the phrase. What are you doing that is pushing you close to an inconsistent edge creatively, yet staying consistent within your style, your mission, your focus? Is it using a real honeybee on the page with a drone honeybee? And then is it thinking about an old hymn that says, in the sweet by and by, we shall meet on that beautiful shore? Okay, honeybees don't have souls. I'm pretty well convinced of that. But it's a kind of a fun piece of art that made me think. My dad loved honeybees, and my dad loved to sing, and my dad loved to bring in honey. And the honeybee is important in my life. It's important in my life. I'd see him at Dollywood or Silver Dollar City before it was Dollywood, being the beekeeper there. I'd be there doing some crazy stuff, and he would be explaining to people how the bees would do a waggle dance and how they drew a compass and how they regurgitated. Makes you kind of want to eat honey, doesn't it? The nectar that was turning into a honey from the enzymes. It's so creative. So makes me want to be an artist. All those things piled in and made me want to be an artist. Okay, so, hey, I heard my name. Annette Henslin. Yes, you did hear your name. You're in the book, Annette. You're right there in the story. It says, today, Annette from Bird Island sent me a note and said, you know, you bring on the Roo-ology. Sometimes Jason will do that. He'll go Roo Guru, or he'll say Roo, and some of you say Roo's Crew, and you say all these Roo things. To me, it's rubies. You know, these are little bees that I'm drawing are rubies. They're just these little special parts that we couldn't live on this planet without the bee. Come on. Is it that complicated? No, it's that simple. All right. All right. Patreon. What is it? Patreon is a place where you can pay me a grand total of $11.57 a month, and I'll put out some videos. I'll also teach a 90-minute class. Tomorrow morning, we'll actually do Good News Roo for those of you. And so those who don't know what Good News Roo is, It's a time where I take a gospel journal, and this one happens to be the Gospel of Matthew, and take the Gospel of Matthew, and I read a story about it, and then I paint a little picture that reminds me of that story for fast brain guys like me. So when I turn in this, or when my grandkids pick it up and they say, "Oh my gosh, this must be about somebody judging somebody," I go, "Good. That's Matthew 5 and 6. You bet it is." And this must be about, oh, what is this about? This is about somebody doing charity. And look, they're over here giving something away and nobody even sees them. And over here, these other people are giving something away, and they've hired a band to say, "Look at us. It's political. We're giving out good deeds for today." So it can be an opera. It can be a drawing. It can be a painting. It can be as crude a little piece of art as you can possibly imagine. Or it can be as simple as a story, as we've been doing here, little stories. 5 and 2. It can be as simple as 5 and 2 trade school. That's going to cost millions and millions and millions of dollars. Where does that money come from? From people who aren't doing anything with their money, who say, we could change the world. If we could get 260 people to go through this school for 18 months and learn a trade and come out with a savings account, could they add to civilization in a helpful way instead of going to prison? You bet they could. So that's why 5 and 2 Trade School has started. So for me, it's just finding little projects like that keep me busy while I'm on this planet. I got 5 minutes to go. Time for a little bitty honeybee. Look here. Some of you guys do the greatest little honeybees I've ever seen. You do these little, they're just fantastic. Here's a couple right here. Look at this right here. Just put this in little marks. Let's bring a little stripe across there. These stripes are not straight across their bowed. Why? Because his back is round, so it's like the stays of a whiskey barrel, but you never compared that to honey. This little leg's going up here like this. This little leg's going through the wing. This little leg's, sound like I'm telling a story, right? This is antennae, which are everything to a bee. Bees have 2 wings. There's my second one under the first one. Here's his little back legs that come down that pick up the pollen. The nectar goes down a tube and goes inside, and then even on its way back to the hive, that nectar has started to turn into honey. I don't know how God did that. So creative. I love it right here where you just take a little bit of water and this pen and you just put it right there, then take your finger and just smear the wing a little bit like that. Maybe need just a touch of a little black to come in here, maybe on this head some black, and these legs should be kind of black like that. And then what if I just grab my brush here and just grabbed a little bit of this and just, let me put the top on this fountain pen, and then just kind of get a brush on a brush and just splatter some of that right there. And so there's a little honeybee done in no time at all. Got a little extra too much water right there. I'll pick that up. Maybe he's spilling honey on the way back. If I wanted a little bit of that to show up a little more, look at this. I could take this right here, put a little touch of water with it, just like so. So how long is this taking me now? About a minute, almost. Here we go. Let's turn this way. Let's blow it off the page. Do the same thing right here. Let's do that one more time. Just kind of get it right here. A little bit of water in there. Just sprinkle some water in like that. Maybe flop it around one time and then just maybe move the straw, let it blow around a little bit, and then just blow it off like this. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so there's Ruby number 224. There he is right there. Boom, done, finished. Okay. Voila, it's 10 o'clock. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. Big personality bees. All right. What number of bee painting are you on? Kim Sheets on 224. There it is right there. Hey, listen, be creative. Those of you who are on Patreon and want to be a part of Good News Roo, I'll be live on Good News Roo tomorrow morning at 8:57. Just for 20 minutes, I'll take a cup of tea. I'm off today to share that story of Inconsistently Consistent with 2 young ladies who are teaching children. And they are talking about building a theatrical set. And I'm saying, maybe you don't need one. maybe save your money and put it into storytellers. So we're going to talk about that. That should be fun. I'm editing video the rest of the day and always thinking like an artist, trying to be creative. Thank you for this community. Thank you for Saturday once again of just seeing that place that I get to go be a part of. Y'all are so good to me to come on and share the art, share the stories, share the love. I'm grateful for it. I am. I'll keep you posted on David's Table auction coming up 3rd week of August. So I probably won't have a personal I will not have a personal auction before then. I'll just start throwing some bees aside and a couple big roosters like the one maybe I painted today, and we'll throw those in. So those proceeds can go to scholarships for kids going to David's Table. They're going to a camp in near Brevard. I almost said Bernard, but that's not a city. It's a man. Brevard, North Carolina is where this camp will be. By the way, this camp is outfitted with no lines. And what I mean, no long ramping. Everything has been graded out, even right into the pool. You can roll right into the pool. Everything has no boundary lines. All the dining rooms they can take themselves into on wheelchairs. It's pretty fascinating. And it's also for their families who'll be coming. So, all right. I'll donate 5 and get 2 more to donate. You know what? It's grassroots. That's what makes this thing work. Grassroots. Fascinating and calming to sit and watch rubies are little gems. I love it. You guys are great. Hey, thanks. Hey, Jason, thanks for sharing that website there, Patreon at roodoodles.com. Yeah, there it is. That's how you can jump in. That's how you can. It helps support me to just sit down and be creative. It's $11.57 a month, and I've got some interviews coming up later this fall with some artists. I'm trying to get to Asheville to interview a couple artists that I think you'll be interested in seeing her work. Eva Crawford is supposed to come in and do something more, and so I'll be in touch with you. But I want you to keep pushing in your style, and also just what you're doing with journaling this summer. Make it count, okay? All right. Almost forgot. Take a sip and think of somebody you can text right now. Hey, be inconsistently consistent. Send them something. Send them a note. Send them a text. Call them on the phone.